Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today I got a real treat for you. Her name is Jordan Lewis, and she is an environmental specialist too at North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. Jordan, say what's up to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Nice to meet everyone.
Sure thing, sure thing. So, Jordan, Water Whisperer. I saw that on your LinkedIn account. Give us the details behind you being a water whisperer.
Honestly, I always just loved water and actually have plants over there. And I've been fascinated since I was a little girl. And I just feel like I'm one with water. I'm always near water. I go hiking. I also go kayaking.
Okay.
So I just felt like I was a water whisperer because I was always around water. So I always just felt like I was with it.
Okay. So this leads me to my next question. So your career path. I imagine there's 500 trillion people listening to this episode, and they're all saying, "I want to be just like Jordan." So talk us through your, I would say, career path, but then give
Okay.
us that, like you said, that young Jordan that kept you around water, and now you're in water. So give us, kind of your journey to where you're at today.
Okay, so I will actually start from scratch. I come from a military household where my father is a veteran, and we basically like lived in a lot of states, and they all have different types of quality of water. So we lived in Arizona, where the water was a bit more harsher. Then we moved to Georgia, water is softer. I lived in Alabama, water is super soft. I lived in Maryland, where they had boil water advisories where we were at. So that kind of like sparked my interest as a kid, but I didn't know exactly how to get into it. So fast forwarding, I got a full ride scholarship to Benedict College. I'm an HBCU alum, go BC,
All
and I
right, all right.
studied biology. So I've always been just very fascinated with the environment. And it wasn't until after I graduated, I actually took an internship and I was a water quality research intern. So I was learning about wastewater laboratory services, how to keep the environment clean, and being like an educator for the public. And I assisted on the Rocky Shoal Spider Lily project with Fantasy Swamp. And we were kayaking on the Savannah River. We were taking the spider lilies out of there because they were like an endangered species. And we were growing them back in the lab that we had at my internship. After that, I really just thoroughly enjoyed my work being the intern there. And I furthered my transition to a wastewater utility. So I moved from Georgia to South Carolina, worked there for a utility. And after that, I said I want to do regulatory work, which led me to the state of North Carolina, where now I'm an environmental specialist too. And that's a little bit of my little water story.
Okay, I got a couple questions from there. You said the phrase "get into it," and that's one thing I learned about it, this industry. A lot of people don't really choose it. They kind of just happen to stumble and fall into it. No pun intended. But how would you advise somebody? Let's do with and without a college degree to get into water.
So what I did was I found my internship through Facebook. It sounds crazy, but I actually found it
Something
through
good from
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
So use your social media apps to find internships. And I'll say the internship I took was non-paid. So I know that's probably going to be like, no one wants to do a non-paid internship, but that just opened up 50,000 doors for me. And I would tell someone that doesn't have a degree, find your experience through entry-level positions, whether it's internship, working at a shop of flowers, if you want to take the environmental route, doing something, anything that's environmentally related that you can still take on to another job, even if it's not identical to that. Keep pushing. Also, look into universities, schools, colleges where you can be like a research assistant. A lot of people will take in people that are either working up to a degree or don't have one, and they'll let them like shadow under them. So shadow work is also very important for starting out into this.
Yeah. No, I feel like internships are highly slept on. We all think we need to get paid six figures when we're just graduating college, and I get it. That's not the truth. I mean, myself
Mhm.
included. I had to graduate college, move back in with my parents, and figure life out from there.
That's what
And
I did.
yeah, and after
I
taking a couple,
graduated college and I was at home for a year
no, yeah,
trying to figure out my life. And
yep.
I'm glad I did that and I didn't just rush into something. I
Oh,
actually took the time to sit there and say, what does Jordan Lewis want to do?
Yep. I've seen that time and time again for sure. Um, so you're kayaking, you're moving around water lilies and stuff like that, and then you said, you know what, I want to get into regulatory work. That sounds like the opposite of like fun. So tell us about, I guess, define regulatory work, and then tell us like kind of what that looks like day to day.
Okay, it was actually from my job from South Carolina where I was working in the lab. I was working alongside like EPA regulations and also like communicating with South Carolina DHEC. And I was like, I actually want to like get into this because I viewed them as scary. So when the EPA would come into your company, you're scared. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. But they were actually really cool. And they started explaining like their work and their inspections and what they do. And I said, I want to try that out. I don't want to just, take someone's word for it. I want to go put my foot in it. So that's what I did. It's actually not boring. It's really fun. And it's very like you get to learn a lot. I just did some training in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I saw different types of pump stations, new, old, underground wastewater systems where they used to discharge it before the Clean Water Act. So I get to learn all of that stuff and why laws and regulations are so important. But I still get that mix of office work and field work, and getting a better connection with the operators is something I actually really enjoyed. So I get that
Yeah.
mixture, and it's not boring actually.
Okay. I respect that. I respect that. So I think we all kind of have that, like whether OSHA's coming on a job site, EPA walks into your, facility. What do you tell those to like not be scared of it, to comply, to like just be cordial? They're human. They're just out to do their job. Like, what do you say to those who kind of have that fear or shudder when they hear those words?
Kind of like what you just said, they're human. You can definitely have like a normal interaction with them. It's like a regular conversation, like a job interview. As long as you know that your facility or your workspace is in compliance with the rules, I wouldn't worry too much. And a lot of people get scared. They have a fear of like getting a civil penalty or like your job's on the line when like OSHA, EPA, or even the state comes through. But a lot of them want to work with you. They will just give you like a notice of deficiency or a recommendation. They'll be like, hey, I think you should do this, do that. And you just take it in. And that's usually how the interaction goes working with like regulations. It's more so like, I'm going to give you recommendation. Unless you are
Nice.
seriously harming someone or harming aquatic life, I would
Yeah.
not worry too much if you do, like, that you're cleaning your area, you're doing good, you comply. I just wouldn't worry too much. They're human, just like
Gotcha.
you said.
Yeah. Okay. You're an environmental specialist too. So give us a random Tuesday. Like, what's the day in the life like for Jordan? From the time you get to the office to the time you clock out, what are you doing all day?
Okay, so since I just started my job in December and I'm still in training, my daily routine is probably going to switch further when I get more into this position. But I usually come in, I eat breakfast. I eat breakfast at work because we actually have a
Okay.
kitchen. And I
Oh,
start
nice.
by eating that and I go straight into paperwork. I actually have a stack of paperwork just from like the previous person that worked here. And I've been getting familiarized with paperwork, scanning it in, seeing how the writing style is for the state of North Carolina, and just making sure I have that muscle memory of, okay, when I do have to write a permit, when I do have to do inspections, this is exactly what I have to do. This is what I should be looking for, errors, corrections. So I usually start my morning with scanning paper in, and I'm usually done by lunchtime. So around 12, I'm done scanning in. After that, I'll start talking with my coworkers, just making sure I have that professional development and doing my trainings online. After that, I should be doing some in-person inspections around the Charlotte area more so. I just done
Oh, wow.
inspections in Fayetteville, but I should be doing some more here. But that's usually my daily routine is finishing my training videos because there's a lot with the government and scanning in paperwork.
Okay. I like it. You talk about scanning and paperwork. How have you leveraged AI in your current position, or does one leverage AI in your current position?
Whew. Oh my. And I just came from a conference that talked about AI. I feel like It's scary, but it's helpful at the same time. Like it's scary how smart AI is and how we can just change this paper, make the edits it needs to do, and it can go in, or it can point out errors that you didn't even notice, and you're supposed to be a professional. So yeah, AI is very scary but helpful. I also have like a lot of questions about AI. So I'm still learning about it. Like I have so much, but so
Yeah.
far it's been pretty good. My question would be like, is it harming the environment? Is AI harming it? That's where I'm like, is it
Uh,
okay to use? I don't know. So I'm still learning that
yeah.
part of it, but so far it's pretty good at my company. They seem open with it actually.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Let's say a youngster is asking you, they say, Jordan, what is the main skill set they should pick up to be successful at what you're currently doing? What would that one skill set be?
Having knowledge on regulations, so Clean Water Act, non-discharge permits, wastewater permits, also just having basic knowledge of biological, chemical, and physical treatment methods that's in wastewater methods. Also, just being familiar with reviewing reports, that's a skill in customer interaction. And that doesn't have to be working in the environment. You can have customer interaction just from working at the grocery store, working anywhere, because you are going to be dealing with the public, and public trust is very important. And having that skill of empathy, taking accountability, and transparency is very important in this position. And honestly, any position working for the environment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's story time. I need a story from Jordan, and like you're new to your current position, but think about your career path. A story when something went wrong under your watch, what you did to fix it, and then what lessons you learned from it to apply to your future career.
Okay, so this was actually at my previous company. So far, I have not made errors at my new. So at my previous company, we actually do a analysis called biochemical oxygen demand. And for the audience, that's just how we measure how much oxygen is needed for aquatic life and human life. So if a BOD is too high, that means there's too much organic pollution and that can harm the fish. If the BOD is low, that's good. That means like plant life and fish life can live. And that's for like wastewater, like effluent going out, discharging. So the story is I was still learning. This was in the beginning, and we do blanks in between our experiment just to make sure like it's effective and you're doing everything right. So our first sample bottle will be just regular DI water. And then in the middle of that experiment, we have a second blank DI water. I thought I thoroughly cleaned the DO probe, which is what tests how much oxygen is in the sample. And I guess I didn't fully clean it. So when I moved from one sample and I put it in the blank, thinking I like thoroughly cleaned it off, I actually did not. And there's no way to know if you contaminated it till 5 days later. So I didn't know.
5 days.
Well, 5 days later, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I contaminated my blank. So So I had to tell my manager, of course, I was like, all right, gotta take accountability. I contaminated the blank, it's super low. And honestly, I just turned that negative like feeling of, oh my gosh, I just ruined this to a positive. And I asked my supervisor, like, how can I prevent this? What other cleaning measures can I do to clean off the lab instrument just to prevent this? And she actually showed me like other techniques I can use to keep clean. And ever since then, I never like messed up the BODs. Never did. So yeah, that was one
All
little
right.
negative I made to a positive. I made sure I didn't get in my feelings about it. I was like, let me just ask.
Uh,
Let me just ask.
yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us, myself included, it's hard to own it. You mess it up. You're like, man, like blame it on somebody else or something else, but you go, well, I didn't clean it. I mean, I think, and the reason why I asked that question is because there's somebody out there, they might have just made a boo-boo and they're thinking like, how should I fess up or how should I come clean on this? And hear
Yeah.
your anecdote, it just, I don't, I feel like it helps move society forward when we hear other people's stories like that.
Mhm.
All right, so you talked about going, you just went to a conference, but I'd like to know what's Jordan's professional and personal development regimen like? Like, what do you do intentionally to keep putting, I'd say, new information into your brain to keep showing up better and better year after year?
Okay. One, reading books. And it
Okay.
could be anything, like any type of genre.
Cat in
Like
the Hat.
you will learn a lot just from reading. So I am a bookworm. Getting a library card, using your resources to keep developing. Please get a library card. Like there's so much information out there. Also,
Yeah.
taking the time to chat with your coworkers. If you're just in your office in your bubble, you can learn so much. Even though they have different positions, I've learned so much about what each of my coworkers do. So that's something I also do to just keep my development going, attending summits, attending conferences. There's always new knowledge out there for me to just help familiarize myself with how quick technology is moving, how quick the work industry is going. So that's something I do. Another thing for like just my personal and keeping myself regulated emotionally, going home, exercising, yoga, eating healthy, knowing when to wind down, have a balance of watching TV, also journaling. Heavy on journaling keeps me emotionally regulated in my personal and professional like development life. So that's a couple things that
Yeah.
I do. Going outside and touching grass. Please touch grass. Like, don't stay inside. Go find stuff
Yeah.
to do, please.
Yeah.
And that's
I
like,
live
yeah, that's what I do.
I live in Arizona. There's no grass out here.
No way. What part of Arizona?
Now there's little grass patches, but from where I'm from in California, there's grass everywhere. But out here in Arizona, it's like the desert rock landscape. I mean, you spent some time out here, so you know what it looks like.
Yeah, I was in Sierra Vista.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
up there. Yeah, so I can echo that. Touching grass, journaling, that's been huge in the probably the later part of my life so far. Is just taking note of what you did throughout the day, kind of putting a bow on it so you can move fresh into the next day. That's huge.
absolutely.
All right, let's say you're at a dinner party, and you know that question you always get. So, Jordan, what do you do? After you tell them what you do, what do you think they do? Or what do you think that they think that you do? Like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about your position?
I told them I work in wastewater, and they are immediately just like, ew, you work with poop. You're nasty. You go home with germs. You stink. And I'm like, no, actually, I don't. Even when I was at my other job and I was
Mm,
this close to influent wastewater,
yeah,
I didn't smell bad. In
yeah.
fact, I was rarely sick. For some reason, I wasn't sick. It's like I built an immunity.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's just the first thing is they're like, that's disgusting. Or it's usually like, why would you want to work in that? Why you didn't go to
Mm,
drinking water? Something cleaner. I'm like, they're both dirty, but
yeah,
everywhere you work is dirty.
it's
So
true.
that's usually a misconception. And then with this one, when I told them I do inspections or I have to give out penalties when there's
Uh,
episodes, that's all they think. They're like, oh, you just give out fines. You just fine people thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like, actually, no. Like I said, I will work with the person
yeah.
depending on what it is. If it's their first offense, they don't have to get a civil penalty. But if it's like a high amount of gallons that wastewater went into surface water, yeah, I have to give out penalties.
Yeah.
But I'm not the bad guy. I'm actually the good guy. So
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Um, I like to focus on I would say that the changing of the guard in the industry, you know, the OGs who are about to retire in the next 3 to 5 years and how they can pass on their information and knowledge to the new generation coming in. What have you seen? It could be at your current position or at your current job or at your previous job that has worked to be able to bridge that gap of institutionalized knowledge.
whew, I actually just talked to my supervisor this
Oh,
morning about this. That's kind of crazy.
okay.
And believe it or not, I haven't seen too much
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I can't really answer that second part. I feel like what's going on is companies view having an assistant under that person that is about to retire and has like that, like a bunch of knowledge, they see that as too much money. When if they would just,
Uh,
like, let's say someone's trying to retire and they have that
yeah.
6 month window where they can
Yep.
hire an assistant or have someone else work under them. They don't do it. So then that knowledge of that
Yep.
senior
Yeah. It
professional
just.
never passed
Yep.
down. So now we have this big gap with entry level, mid level, and senior, and it's
Mm,
huge. So the senior will have 30 years of experience,
yeah.
and the rest of us have like 5 up to
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
So I actually have not seen that. And that's something I really want companies to do is like make that change to please close that gap because
Yeah.
the silver tsunami
Yep.
is it's rampant right now. So many people
Yeah.
are retiring and that knowledge is just gone. Yeah.
Yep. 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 That's we're seeing that all across the nation for sure. For sure. All right. Let's say you're commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area. What state or in yeah, what city are you in?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, let's say you're in the most trafficked area in Charlotte. You get to put a billboard up. What ask of the community in regards to regulations and wastewater would you put on this billboard?
So one of the main things I would cater to is pollution control. So my message would be keep it clean, only rain down the drain. Have a little rhyme at the bottom. Keep it clean, only rain down the drain. A lot of people put a bunch of weird stuff down the drain. We already have an influx of PFAS. Please, no more. I also like, if I had a second billboard, I would put see something, say something, report water pollution. That's what I would do.
What's up? And you don't have to name any names or anything, but what's some of the craziest things you might have seen in the sewer?
Oh, ketchup packets, mustard packets.
Really?
It's an influx. I have no idea
Are
why.
they going down the drain? Or they put them in the toilet, the sink? Like what?
I wish I knew exactly where they're coming from, but every day when I did work at my previous job, ketchup packets, mustard packets, full blown feminine products, like full blown. Don't even know how it got through there. No idea.
Yeah.
Seen
Okay.
lots of weird stuff. Rags is common, diapers. I have
Yeah.
no idea how this got
Yeah.
like I don't know how a full diaper, how did you flush that? Or you
Yeah.
put it down a sewer drain. I don't know, but I'll see stuff like that. But yeah, feminine products, ketchup packets, mustard packets,
Gotcha.
chip
Interesting.
away.
That's a new one. Ketchup mustard packets.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a new one. All right. I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank of mentors that you had along your journey. And then
Yeah.
also, I want you to give a word of inspiration and motivation to your fellow, let's say, regulatory counterparts across the nation.
I would like to thank my mentors, Clarence, Ifitayo, and Taylor Ray. What honestly, without them, I don't know where I'd be at. I'd be all over the place. And they play such an important role in my career and like my personal development. I truly am grateful to have these connections with them. So I would definitely like to thank my three mentors. A motivational quote that I actually have it written down because I have it on my app. And it's
Yeah.
you have to stop acting like you're afraid of your own power and start to move as your highest self completely unapologetically.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I like who said it? Did Jordan Lewis say that?
I don't know who said it, but
Oh,
I found it on Pinterest and I
okay.
stuck with it. I have it pinned on my phone and everything. I was like, I don't know who said that, but I like that.
Yeah. All right. Give me two book recommendations. One outside of the industry, one inside wastewater or public utilities.
My book recommendation is Wastewater Fundamentals of Wastewater, book one. That one's
Okay.
really good for any level. I got that one through my operator scholarship, and it's been helping me learn about wastewater, being an operator, which I'm still in the process of doing. And then another book that I have is Love Your Life, Not Theirs.
Okay.
It's a really good book. It has so much stuff from finance,
Mm,
um, your emotional being regulation, like your emotional regulation
yeah.
and maturity, getting into your 20s, getting into your 30s, getting into your 40s. Like it has all that stuff. That's a good book. And then
Okay.
another book that we're actually about to read is Crucial Conversations.
Mm,
And then a third one, which we read, was Emotional Intelligence. And that was through a book club through my organization, WEF. That was really good. And I think every person should read it. A lot of people will go into life saying they're emotional, intelligent, and then you
mm,
read the book and you're like, actually, there's some parts in life where I fail. There's some
yeah.
parts where I am biased. Everyone's biased, and it
Mm,
talks about that stuff. And it's super important. If you want to be a leader, you still have to point out the wrongs in you and the rights in you.
Yeah.
So those books are really good.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's say I'm coming to town. I'm coming to Charlotte, and I text you ahead of time. I say, Jordan, where can I go to get the best burger in Charlotte? Where are you gonna send me?
Okay, so even though I'm still discovering the city myself, I went to this place called Shake Shack. Have you heard of it?
Shit, come on, no chains. It's got to be a mom and pop.
Never heard of this restaurant. I pull up, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. Shake Shack.
Yeah.
The burgers there were so good, and the hospitality was everything. So nice, very sweet. Their lemonade, top tier. And they had burgers like avocado burger, truffle, I don't know, triple burger,
Yeah.
like so many. I was like, whoa. And it was just so good. I did my build your own.
Okay.
And it was delicious. So I would recommend Shake Shack. I'm sure my recommendations will change the more I discover the city. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll call you back in a year and see for sure. All right, Jordan, thank you for hopping on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with us. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Jordan, any final words before we get out of here?
If you ever want to visit Charlotte, you can go online. You can go on the website, City of Charlotte. They got Concord as an outskirt, and you can find so much through Instagram. If you ever come through, please utilize those. You'll have so much fun, and happy to meet everyone. Hope y'all liked it.
Good stuff. Jordan, once again, thanks for hopping on. This has been the Public Works Podcast, and thank you everybody for tuning in.